lot of information. At this point, I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. Roll call.
Brian Geezy.
Present.
Doug Husted. Present. Brian Mahan. Pat Rashevsky. Present. Cody Brabilski.
Present.
For those that are able, please stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, we'll have a virtue card reading. Pat?
Got it. Yep. Tonight's virtue is compassion. Compassion is understanding and caring when someone is hurt or troubled. Even if you don't know them, it is wanting to help. Even if all you can do is listen and say kind words. You forgive mistakes. You are a friend when someone needs a friend. You are practicing compassion when you notice when someone is hurt or needs a friend. Imagine how they must be feeling. Take time to show that you care. Ask how they are and listen patiently. Forgive others when they make mistakes. Are helpful to a person or animal in need. Affirmation. I have compassion. I notice when someone is hurt or needs my help. I take the time to show that I care.
Thank you, Pat. Board of Education guidelines. With an open mind, we will establish an atmosphere that allows expression of all views, even when views are not in line with all members. We will work collaboratively with the district administrator by having open and honest conversations around district priorities. We will work collaboratively with all stakeholders to monitor key indicators so that equitable teaching and learning results in high achievement. We will work toward building a trusting environment where both students and staff can reach their full potential and celebrate successes in academics, the arts, and athletics. That's our guidelines. At this point, I'd like to open the floor up to public comments. Any public comments this evening? Very good.
I could.
Okay. The next item.
Brian.
Oh,
Brian.
yeah,
I
I'm
didn't know
sorry.
if he had something he had to say. Or
Oh,
he's up next.
He's
All
up.
right.
He's got a
all right,
spot.
all right.
You gotta talk, yeah.
Well, first of all, I guess I just want to tell you guys, Thursday's meeting was a great success. I spoke with quite a few of the parents that were there accompanying us, and they all kind of, I think, got a lot of the same feelings that I did, that, you know, that they're not 100% sold that everything is going in the direction they want, but they had to take a step back and say, you know, maybe some of the things we were thinking we were looking at wrong. They're, including myself. I mean, it was a big eye opener for myself. You know, a lot of things that were brought to attention at that meeting really kind of put stuff more into perspective for us. With that said, I've reached out to a couple members that are here that, you know, I think going forward, I'd like to see the district try to do something in like the form of a parent awareness night at the high school, where that same presentation that had taken place Thursday maybe is done up on the stage. Open up the gym, get some representatives from the different athletic departments at the varsity level to represent their sport in the gym, and tell the parents that, you know, there'll be chaperones in there to watch the younger kids, and they can go and actually be an adult for a couple hours and not have to be the eyes on the kids, and sit in the meeting and see what's happening, you know, see the changes. Because I'll be honest, I'm not one for emails or parent square, and I'm sure I'm not the only person in the district that feels that way. I don't follow it. I mean, thank God iPhones are as easy as they are to you know, go through, because if it wasn't for that, I'd be lost. And finding stuff on the internet and trying to, it's not wired in me. and I think we've lost that one-on-one touch with people. You know, we're too reliant on the fact that we can, oh, they'll just look it up, or they'll watch it online, or they'll do this. You know, I think it's a shame that that's been lost, because that's a lot of our society's problem, I feel, anyways, is there's not enough one-on-one communication with people anymore. So, I mean, that's just my opinion, but if something could be done with that, you know, that's just an idea. If you can expand on it or whatever, that's up to you guys. I'm always a phone call away, or my door's open, so. With that said, otherwise, I think, you know, my biggest concern is just that, and I've expressed it many times, we've gotta get the foundation to our athletic department built at that middle school. You can't build a house without a foundation underneath it, and it's a vicious cycle. I mean, if they don't play sports at that younger thing, they're not gonna play in high school, and it's just the way it is. You know, something's gotta be done. We've gotta demand that our varsity coaches are on board with our youth coaches, and it's an interaction all the way up, because without it, we're never gonna build an athletic program, and in my eyes, there's a definite need for a track, and maybe if you're gonna do the legwork, put the field in the middle, but to build a giant sports complex that we're looking at, I don't see the point in wasting the district dollars to do it. You know, unless it's all grant money that's given to us, but I don't foresee that. I gotta believe there's gonna be some type of hit on the taxpayers. And, you know, I'd have no problem being a part of that if we had a stronger sports program, but it's unfortunately suffering. So, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Okay.
Otherwise, like I said, I was very pleased with the meeting, and I applaud you guys for what you've done, for what I've seen from that, so.
Thank you.
Well, we thank you for your
Thank
presence last Thursday, and thank you for taking the time to come here this evening and express your concerns. It's much appreciated, very much, so. Thank you, Mike.
Yep.
Showcasing schools and student learning, CWSA update.
I have a few things to share with the board. You getting the updated contract to review. We're hoping that we can execute it next month. If there are any questions or serious things that we need to address, Brian, please don't hesitate to get a hold of me or Michelle or Amy. We will take up a special meeting if we have to make any changes that are necessary so that we can proceed with that. Other than that, we had a visit from the Mid-State MIC, Mobile Innovation Knowledge Experience, Mobile Lab, and all of the word that we got was that all the students at CWSA had an opportunity to participate in learning in the lab. They learned 3D CAD and printing, and they made masters from the 3D printing that then were they used vacuum molding of clear sheet to make molds out of those masters, and their intent is to try and use those for making soap. They've already been making soap,
Yeah.
so this way they get custom form.
Wow,
from
that's a
that.
good
So
idea.
it's a nice tie-in with things that they've already been doing. So this is a great step.
That's a good idea.
We're happy to have that partnership with Mid-State. So, upcoming in the next couple of months, we're thinking about recruiting on a number of levels. We're going to be losing a number of our governance council members this coming year in May, and so we're looking for people in the community that want to participate in the governance council for CWSA. That's one aspect of our recruiting. Also, we're going to be reaching out into the lower grades, hoping to get a connection established between CWSA and fifth graders so that we can help the new, our fifth grade educators to help us determine what students are a good fit for CWSA and encourage them and their parents to visit with us and talk with us more about that so that we can have continued student participation. We also have a couple other things that are on our list, putting together a survey for understanding how well we're doing. And because it's been a while since we did that, I think it was 2016 since the last one that we did. And we really need to get an evaluation of how we're doing. And the other thing that we're looking at is, who's there? Disappeared. Oh no.
You are the mad scientist, so that's all.
Yeah, being a mad scientist, that's great. So I have to mess my hair up and then it'll come to me.
No.
Don't do that.
You know, beyond that. Oh, training for our governance council.
Fantastic.
That's what we have to work on, so.
And you had a workshop scheduled, and we were gonna be, no, we already did that. We got that done.
We did that.
Yep.
We want to extend that, probably with participation from, we're thinking Gus Mancuso and Heather from Encourage to be
Okay.
able to help us with that. But we need to formulate the questions for our training process.
Sure.
So that's what we're about.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for the update. I do have one question. Right now, you're serving through sixth grade, or which grades are you serving through?
6 to 8.
6 to 8. Are we still following that transition from 8th grade to high school?
I know that Chris Goodwin has been monitoring that. He's staying in pretty close contact with the high school,
Okay.
and the reports he's getting back are positive.
It's,
He's our best eyes and ears into that situation, I think.
yeah. A lot of times the skill sets that you're able to impart within CWSA, those kids are sometimes, at different levels when they get to the high school. And we want to make sure that transition process is as smooth as possible. And I know that the high school has been doing a great deal of work with that. But we just need to keep a continual eye on that so that
Okay.
they're prepared for that experience.
Well, when we put together our survey, we probably ought to keep that in mind, so
Yeah.
we could have a compatible survey to our graduates into
I
the
would-
high school.
Yes, that might be a good idea,
Okay.
just to follow up on that, to make sure we're doing them justice on the way through.
Yes.
Because you guys are doing wonderful things down there, so.
I'm probably doing so much.
Yeah.
Sure you are.
You're on the governance council and one of the founding members, so got the ball rolling. So,
Any other questions?
I think you're off the hook. Thank you very much for your time and your presentation. Thank you. And then we have Mr. Joe Servant. Servant?
Servant.
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 Either one's fine.
Very good. Boys and Girls Club.
Well, let me just do a little front loading. So Nathan's not here, but Joe's been working with the district through the Boys and Girls Club and really is in charge of all the before and after school programming at the middle school. So with that, we asked him to come and kind of tell his story because we really haven't heard a whole lot from our before and after school programming. So Joe, we're glad you're here. And you've been with the district for what? This is your third year?
Almost 3 years.
Yeah.
Couple months, maybe 3 years.
Awesome. He's
So-
been a great addition. So he wants us to ask questions too, but
Yeah, yeah. ask
we gave
questions
him
at the end.
3 to 5 minutes here. So
I'll try to make it quick. It was just funny because when I was talking with Terry, this is what Terry sends me. He's like, take a picture of this. So overarching results, the Coosa School District develops students who excel academically, act responsibly, display good character and citizenship, and reason and solve problems rationally. We focus on preparing our students with the skills they will need in today's global community, which our mission as a Boys and Girls Club is to enable all young people, especially those who need us most, to reach their full potential as productive, caring, responsible citizens. So together as a team, the Boys and Girls Club and Alexander Middle School, I think, are working diligently to make these similar missions a reality, you know. And the last 3 years, I've been blessed to be a part of seeing the growth with the kids and not only our staff. The club is a community learning center that is giving our kids a lot of opportunities to grow and reach their full potential at Alexander Middle School. Together this school year, we have seen growth in the classroom with homework help, which is provided every day at the club. We've also developed our programs to fit the needs of our club members, so they get to give us feedback and have a voice, which makes them, you know, really feel like they belong to the program more. And what I like this year that the kids have been doing, usually it's, you know, us staff helping with homework, but a lot of the older kids have been helping the younger kids with their homework, which that is, to me, a big thing with character, and our kids are on the right track. The one thing that I wanted to show you guys tonight, because I'm a big fan of how creative, you know, they're artistic and creative, this group. I've never in my 3 years, they build stuff with clay, they make models, you know. I'll show these pictures when I'm done, but I just like their passion for art. I think it's great. We did Model Mondays this first semester. That's the only one that was left because all the kids got to take them home, but Max wanted to come and show his model today, but they had a concert tonight, so I said I'd show it for him. In the computer lab, we run a math program called Prodigy. We also run a Boys and Girls Club program that it's called An Hour of Coding that the kids really seem to enjoy, which helps them, you know, tap on, you know, technology is the growing thing, and, you know, we all know it. So, you know, we always want to try tapping in things that are, you know, basic and they can grow, you know, and build off of that if they like it. The one thing I'm really proud of is our STEM program. It really took off this year. Last year we couldn't get kids to go, and this year we are above the capacity for our 4th and 5th graders. And well, they're not here, but I'd like to thank Domtar because they send 3 people every Wednesday to work with their kids, and they've taken the extra kids also. So kudos to them.
So that's STEM Scouts.
STEM Scouts, but Domtar is the ones that,
They're running,
Their lab.
they are running it,
yeah.
pretty much that end of
Yeah.
it? Okay.
And how many kids are in that? I've stopped by a couple of times. There's quite a few.
We are over 20,
Wow.
and we were supposed to be at
15,
15 max.
yeah.
So, so
Kids
that's a
love
good
it.
thing. That is a great thing. I am a gym rat, so my favorite program that we run is Triple Play. Triple Play is a program that gives kids the opportunity to present to their peers and, you know, teach them a sport of their choice. And the one that stands out to me is Braden Lochner this year. He taught Triple Play, and it was the best because he managed to get girls and boys that have never interested in football before, and he taught them he got them out there and he stretched with them, and then he ran basic fundamental drills with them, and then he was teaching. It was great watching him explain to the girls and to the boys that have never played football before how to run certain routes, and it was just a great experience to see, you know, how good he felt to, you know, because it was his chance to, you know, he was presenting to his peers. He was, you know, the one in charge, and that's hard for a kid to go up in, you know, a public setting and, you know, just talk in general, you know. Us as adults struggle sometimes. So, Kahoot is also something that the kids like to do for our programming. I like it because it's a fun way to, like, do a learning thing. So, like, say they're learning the 50 states in 4th and 5th grade or whatever class in your room. We can test them using Kahoot. They can either use their telephone, because you can download the app, or the Chromebooks, and they even get to compete with one another. So, because it gives them the score, you know, how fast you answer. Okay, it shows a picture of Texas or Maine, all kinds of, it's fun, so. And then we usually, sometimes we'll play for like candy or whatever prize we got in the room, it's just fun, so. Probably the most popular program that we have with the kids is our cooking club. This gives our kids the opportunity to follow recipes and learn how to, learning to cook is always better when you do it younger. Because when you go to college and you can't make anything but ramen noodles, it's a little scary. So, the nice thing today, we try to do this every year. The kids are making cards for our teachers, don't tell them. Some of you guys are in here, but, yeah, they're making cards for the teachers and they make cookies for the teachers every year. So they were doing that today and they were really proud of how that turned out. This school year, we also were able to add 2 teachers to help us out after school, Mr. Glenzer and Ms. Schwanebeck. Mr. Glenzer helps teach our kids any type of instrument. He doesn't care what your skill level is, student-wise, which is awesome. And he gives them the opportunity, to learn. And he's very patient and great with the kids, whether it be doing drumline with them or just working on whatever instrument that they play for the school. Ms. Schwanebeck works basically with our 4th and 5th graders, but she's helping bridge that gap the kids may have on certain subjects that they're struggling with in the classroom. And I'm very grateful to have, 2 teachers that are very, supportive and working after school with us. Crystal Brown is our AmeriCorps worker. She's done an amazing job with our kids the last 3 years. I think it's been important because she's brought some continuity and built very, quality, genuine relationships with our kids, which is valuable because she sits in the classroom with the kids, helps them, but she also can see if, just like little Johnny, for example, I don't want to use specific kids' names, but, if they're struggling during the day, she can let us know, so then we know when that kid comes to the club, we don't want to have, you've all heard, the ripping paper, when they come and there's like that one shred left, we don't want that completely torn. We want those kids to come and we want to, reseal that piece of paper while they're with us. I think a big contribution to success at our staff, our success is at our amazing staff at the Boys and Girls Club, and the amazing staff that have built great relationships with us at the middle school, whether it be the principals, the teachers, the office. I'm very happy that we have such strong support for one another. And together, I think we will continue to push and challenge our kids to be the best so they can reach their full potential as productive, caring, responsible citizens. I've been truly blessed to work for such a great organization as the Boys and Girls Club and also the Alexander Middle School here in Nakusa. I look forward to the bright future that's ahead of us as we continue to develop and strive to be our best. Thank you for your time. Do you guys have any questions for me? Yes.
About how many kids are in Boys and Girls Club?
Boys and Girls Club, we
Just
serve.
roughly.
In the morning, we do about 45 to 50 kids come in the morning. In the afternoon, we've had up to 65, but usually we get 50 to 60.
Okay.
And we have about 100 and we just put them into our parents' square. I want to say 125 kids we serve, like that are all members. They all don't come on every day. If they
Right.
did, we'd be in trouble. but-
Because I know there's a lot on early release Wednesday. That's a
Yes.
big day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's huge, and you do a great job of that, and you coordinate the whole thing.
Yes.
So it's cool. Yeah.
Show the pictures before I forget. Because the kids wanted to show their artwork today. I was going to bring a couple kids here, but I mean they're very creative, and I just like how they challenge to do cool things, and I just thought it was pretty cool. Bring a couple, I would have brought them all, but I know I only had 5 minutes. But bring some of the younger kids' pictures. I'm proud of our kids. I like when they challenge and aspire to do things, and they, oh God, I have to glue SpongeBob's arm back on. I was like, where's his arm? What's in the bag?
It's in here somewhere.
Yeah, it's in the bag. I saw that. But like,
By tomorrow, Joe.
yeah, their emojis and you know, I like this cute little turtle that they made, but our kids, I am very, very proud of the growth of our organization, but, and it starts with, you know, us all working together, you know, and I also got the opportunity to coach the 8th grade boys basketball team this year. That was another blessing because it's something that I've missed since I've moved here, and we have great kids here at this school. I don't like when people talk badly about our kids because our kids are great. They all have amazing skills. They just need sometimes that extra push and that extra person to believe in them. You know, because mom and dad always can tell you to the blue in the face that, you know, you have creativity, and sometimes it just takes someone else to tell you, hey, you're an awesome kid. You know, keep striving for more, keep doing more. So
So we're in our first year of a 5-year grant cycle
yes.
for before and after school programming at the middle school. We're just working on a grant application for Humke. So Joe, we really do appreciate your service, and we thank you for all your hard work. Last year we did an audit, and the state came back with all kinds of recommendations for us to make it better. And Joe has taken a strong leadership position, and he's been stretched himself to outside his comfort zone. So we appreciate the work that he's doing. And again, it's always this effort to build those relationships between the day school program and the after school program. And so Joe's trying to figure out the best ways, if we're struggling in inferring in ELA, in English Language Arts, how can he somehow pull that into after school before school programming. So it's a good team.
And I'm very proud of our Torch Club we just started with. It's like the student council, Boys and Girls Club. They want to, after the holidays, start raising money for, I think the 8th graders go on DC trips, right? The 8th graders. They want to start raising money for the kids that are,
Awesome.
you know, struggling to get the money for their trip. So we're going to start hopefully working on, I'll talk with, what's her name?
Kayla.
Yes.
Kayla.
And develop, I can think of her first name, I'm like Miss Gaffney.
Well, that's what you call her in front of the students. I get it.
So, so we're gonna work together with her to make it happen, because they're passionate about it, and you know, anything to help, you know, because it's never about, you know, me, it's always about we and us trying to, you know, give everybody here a better opportunity, so. I enjoy being here. I hope, you know, the club stays around for a long time. So.
Good. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
So, as far as staffing, are you guys short?
I need one person in the morning. We just, Deanna helped me with getting.
Well, I guess-
this down.
As I'm sitting here listening to this, I was thinking it would be a great opportunity for kids that are in high school that need to put in voluntary hours. If there was any way we could get that to the high school, that they could, you know, maybe, I don't know if there's different clubs or if there's different kids that are looking. I mean, I know I'm telling mine all the time, you know, you need voluntary hours to get to college or whatever, go to the Humane Society and walk dogs, do this, do that. I mean,
Yeah.
it just sounds like it would be a good fit maybe
Yeah.
for some high school kids after school, if they don't have a program going on or something, or if they got a
And I think
first
we
hour
have
study.
used high school kids, haven't we?
Yeah.
We do have the high school kids that come on Wednesdays. Actually, I ended up hiring 2 of them to work with the club because they've done such a great job. They've built relationships with the kids, and I'm like, you know what? I want you to be around the whole day, not just early release.
I'm just a big fan
Yeah.
of the older kids being mentors to
Yep.
the younger generation, and the more we can get that
Mhm.
involved in the district, the better off the district is.
Yes. Me and Nate, sorry, I always want to call him Mr. Black. We talked with the high school already about trying to develop a stronger homework program, you know, to make sure that we service all the kids that need help. And hopefully by after the holidays, we can get some strong high school students to come in on, we can maybe build it off of more than early release, but we want to continue to get programs that are going to help and develop these kids, because, you know, if you don't have that foundation in anything in life, like you were just talking about sports, you're gonna crumble and fall through it. So we want to work to build those things, you know, so they're successful, you know, academically, sports, you know, challenge them in, you know, different things, like we do career launch, so if anybody wants to speak to our kids, you know, that's another thing, I'm not trying to like really, you know, push things, but, it's a big thing where I want people to come in and talk to these kids and, you know, show them what's out there, you know, talk to them about what's out there. I'm not saying you gotta, you know, go in there and, you know, write resumes with them or whatever, but
You can get Mike and he'll talk about cranberries.
Yeah, yeah.
The cranberry grower, there we go. Sign him up.
if you want, you're more than welcome. You know.
Don't volunteer.
He'll be coming back here in a couple weeks all tanned up, so you grab him.
Well
Good
rested.
if you grow cranberries.
Thanks,
Hard time from the board.
thanks again, Joe. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Communicating with the board, Director of Student Services, Brian Grill, we're gonna hear a lot from you tonight, I believe.
Yep.
Thanks, Richard.
Thank you, Ms. Free.
So for now, I'll just wait till the
Okay,
next other board.
very good, very good. Our business manager, Lynn, she had to go home today, but she has provided us with the financial statements and the school district documents that these will be reviewed in January's meeting. This is the auditor's report, much the same as we've gotten in other years. So let's review this over the month, and we'll be discussing it and approving it in the January meeting. And let's wish Lynn to get well.
Yeah,
Get well quickly.
well.
Our student representative was not able to be with us tonight. Thank you for your input and the public
Thanks, Mike.
comments.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You want to hear something, I gotta say it pretty quick, I think. Don't leave yet. It's a ways down the line. I'll share it with you. I'll show it to you.
He's gotta get packed for his trip.
Yeah, you gotta get packed.
Have a good time,
I'll
Mike.
share it with you.
Actually,
And
I'm supposed to go to the concert, but my mother-in-law
Okay.
just texted me there's nowhere to sit.
Get
Hey,
going.
hey,
Talk to
hey.
you later.
Mike, make sure Austin at least does his chess puzzles on his phone when he's done it.
Okay, what we have next, the 2018-2020 school calendar. Terry, is there anything you'd like to mention about that calendar?
We have spent the last month and a half working on it. We've gotten input from the staff. We've connected with Port Edwards, Assumption, and Wisconsin Rapids, and it is ready for your approval.
Okay, at this time, the board president calls for a motion to approve the 2018-2020 school calendar.
So move.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. At this time, we want to, Brian, is there anything you want to talk about the emergency action plan?
Sure. I'll kind of I put a little together to summarize each of those for you because I know I gave you a lot of school safety information this month. And the reason that is because under new guidelines, January 1st is a deadline for a lot of these things. So I know in the past you have not received this information or had to approve this information. So I just want to go through and highlight a few points for you, and then you can go down the list. The big thing I just wanted to go through tonight is the school safety assessments, the lockdown drills, and the emergency action plans. So this is the state statute that I gave to you earlier this summer that is new to Wisconsin. So some of the big things to highlight is by January 1, just like you're doing tonight, you see the list there. I'm sorry, it's cut off a little bit, but you need to be notified of the date of the annual drill that we do, that we practice, that's unannounced. And you will see that all those drills occurred within this last month because the new rules outline that within 30 days of a drill occurring, we have to provide you with the reflection for each schools and what went well, what were challenges, and I'll talk about each of those. There were similar successes and challenges in all three buildings, so it was good to see where we have to do work and what to keep doing. Also, just you will have to sign off on those drills saying, yep, you were made aware of them. The other two, the most recent dates of training. So now Josh has always provided training for Alice for our new staff, guest teachers. So from now on you will just be notified that, yep, every year he does those trainings. Here's the dates. Here's how many staff attended those. Also, you need to approve the school safety plan every 3 years. So tonight you're approving it. Before it was just knowledge, so you knew the revisions, but now every 3 years you as a board have to review that. And then
Do you want to call it a safety plan or a crisis plan?
if we're going legal, I say safety plan.
Very good.
And then lastly, too, the most recent day on which we consulted with our local school enforcement. So I had the pleasure of early this fall going with Steve Hersberg, Josh Colo, and myself went up to Green Bay to be certified as school safety assessment reporters. So you'll also see we walked around each building and basically observed what things were going well in school safety practices and what we need to improve upon. And I'll just go through those because I know the reports that I gave you to review were quite lengthy. So I just want to highlight some things for you. So here are the dates of the on-site school safety assessments. We did them all in October. Our qualifications, I just have to let you know, it was a training through the Wisconsin School Safety Coordinator Association. Some of the strengths we found, there was a lot of, in each building, each classroom, either had a phone or a radio for two-way communication. That's something that they highly stress that teachers are able to get a hold in case of a crisis with individuals in some shape or form. So our district is actually doing great in that. Also, too, they discuss you need to observe the proactive things that you're doing to create a culture where kids want to be safe in school, and school is a place you want to go. So each of our buildings really highlights school artwork, school projects, to say here are the good things that we're doing to make them feel part of their community, which is great. Each building does have a visitor protocol outlined that is followed, and also too, Josh also assesses on a regular basis. He'll send someone into the school and have them buzz the doorbell and try to avoid signing in to see how long they can go through the school before anyone addresses them to say, hey, you're not a regular person in the building. And our office staff does great. If someone buzzes but doesn't come first thing to the office, I will say our secretaries are so amazing at boom, they're like, where'd that person go? I saw him buzz, I didn't see him coming, and they get up and go. So the past few that he's done has been within seconds that they noticed that someone did not sign in. We also have to observe the outside of our buildings. All of them are well lit. If a light is out, it was actually funny, we were walking around the building at night and Steve was like, yep, I knew about that light, I'm fixing it tomorrow. He knew what lights were on and which ones were out, so very well maintained the outside of the buildings. Some of the areas we want to highlight that could be improvements, they also did talk very much about how to identify when someone is not a usual person, because right now staff and students are not required to wear their ID badges around the school. They put that as highly suggested, so that way even too if there's a guest teacher in the building, they can identify a person who's not supposed to be in the building, because if all staff are wearing that, including our guest teachers, if they see someone without a badge, it's kind of a cue of, hey, ask that person what they're doing in the building. We do have the guest name badges that they should wear, but unfortunately a lot of parents, some put it here on their chest, some put it on their legs, some have it on their shirt inside their coat. But it's just having that badge they really said would be helpful. our plans for our fire and tornado drills, especially at the are seen in each of our buildings. The whole thing is they're all written in terms of what to do. There's no map for a substitute to follow, or I guess teacher to follow. So if it says exit out at door M and you don't know where door M is, there's no map to help show you how you should take students there. So that's one thing we want to update, as well as make sure we have those maps. Also, to our phones, we have the two-way communication, but we want to have labels on them to say, here's how, say there was an intruder and I was in the kindergarten wing, how do they make that announcement on the PA system? Or how do they call out? Because we asked staff, do you know how to call 911 out of your office? And I gave Diana a little bit of a heart attack when we practiced, because I let the office ladies know, but not Diana, sorry. But some are like, do I hit 911 to dial out? Can I just hit 911? They weren't sure, so we want to put that on there so they know exactly what to do in emergency situations. Also, too, we got the barricades that you'll see in the practice drills that actually went very well. They were used, they were effective. The only thing right now, they're not all hung or placed in the same spot. Each teacher kind of has their spot for it. So if a guest teacher walks in or something like that, they're not going to know where to find the barricade. They're going to be like, well, some people keep it right next to the door, some keep it by their desk. So we really want to create a spot for those to be, so everyone knows, yep, here's where I'm looking to put those in the door. And then lastly, one of the things for all three buildings, they suggested making it very clear how well labeled is your school. You drive up to the high school, you drive up to Humke, you drive up to the middle school, you have multiple entrances. So they're like, clearly identify which one's the main entrance so traffic knows I go here to check in. Because really, I'm just using the middle school as an example, you have the two ways to go. You know, so really it's like, well, if I didn't work in the schools, would I know which one's the main entrance? So just putting labels on there so people know, here's the main entrance, here's where you're gonna get buzzed in. Because once you get up to the main entrance door, it clearly labels, here's how you get in, but it's not identified, here's the main entrance. Because each building, like I said, due to the size, you have two entrances that really could be seen as the main entrance. Because even at Humke, you have the main entrance, but then you have the garden doors. Where if you didn't know, you might think the garden doors are our main entrance. So.
Just a quick question on that, like over at AMS, is that gonna be confusing for when because when the kids, the first group of kids that come in, the 6th through 8th graders, they come in by the gym. And then after that, they go in by the office.
Yep.
So, I mean, they are going in different doors there in the morning.
Yep.
But the
And
main
that's what
entrance
we
would
have
be.
to talk through. And the main entrance, the purpose of that is primarily for visitors to know
Okay.
here's where you're
I
going.
see what you're saying. So the kid, we're still gonna let the students know that, hey, you go in this entrance when you show up in the morning. Okay, so it's not, you've already been thought through.
We're talking through that because you're exactly right. We don't want to confuse
Right.
our students at the same
No.
time.
Well, it wouldn't be a big deal. They'd just be walking to a door that they can't get in.
Correct.
You
Yep.
know?
So you're right. We still want to communicate with our
Right.
students, everyone, but
Right.
it's just like for a visitor coming in, we want them, rather than them wandering the school, then us thinking, well, is this person an intruder? Who is this? If we have it clearly defined, that's a proactive measure we can take so they know here's where I'm going.
Yep, okay, good.
So that was the on-site assessment. Here's when all the emergency lockdowns occurred. And it was great too because Steve, Josh, and I were at all of them. But then we also reached out to our Nakusa PD, and they actually, Chief Woods was at 2 of the 3, Brian Mahan was at 2 of the 3, and then another officer, whoever was on duty, actually joined them as well. So they even got to see in action how everything is going, our teachers doing it, and just be another pair of eyes to give us perspective. Some of the strengths, the barricades, like I said, for the most part were great. Teachers got them in. There was a little first-time nervousness of using them, so they had to jiggle around, find the exact spot to drop the pin, but Overall, the biggest challenges we had there were the carpet areas, because our carpets are similar to this. So to sometimes see a hole in the carpet, whereas if you had tile, it was a lot easier to see and the pin dropped down. So we talked about maybe putting tape around it or something like that to identify, yep, here's where it goes. The other thing too, staff did very well at the Alice part of the drill. We had multiple classrooms actually leave the building when they knew the intruder was in an area that was not accessible to them. We had kids, even kindergartners, who knew, yep, intruders all the way over by the main office. We saw kindergartners very quietly walking out of the building. And just so
Right.
you're aware too, with our elementary students, it's supposed to be an unannounced drill, but especially with the age and the developmental level, we didn't want to cause trauma to the young children. So we did make sure to prepare them a little bit, saying this is going to happen today. It's a drill, and then we followed up with them afterwards as well. The one area we did notice for improvement in all buildings, there were some areas where the PA system did not work. So, we're making principals aware that, hey, these are areas. Some were due to, hey, we don't know why. The wiring should work. We know there is wiring to the room. And then there's some areas where we found out the wiring due to different projects was actually cut to areas. So we have to figure out how to reconnect that. So, but that was a big thing. We had some perfect example, middle school, a gym class was going on and they were still playing games and going on and they're like, we heard nothing. So that's something we have to address. And then lastly, the school trainings, like I said, Josh does every year. He did new staff and any returning staff that wanted a refresher on August 21st. He had about 13 staff. And then this year's training occurred for our guest teachers on the 28th. So that's what I have for you. But then in regards to the crisis plan as well, or safety plan, what you have in front of you submitted tonight is the one you also saw this summer, because we did work this summer to update it to the requirements that we needed. So just so you know, there's no changes to that. So when you approve it tonight, it's just giving it, yup, now it's officially approved by the board. There are no additional changes to it. Any questions?
I think there was a lot of good work put into it, Brian, and we
Good job.
appreciate all the work that was done. And there's more to be done, but you've got the big parts done.
Yes.
So, at this point, I'd like to call, the board president will call for a motion to approve the emergency action plan.
Make that motion.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Can I just add one thing? But Brian, would you just touch on this committee that's going to be formed to continue the
Yes.
work?
Yep, sorry.
Because Brian Mahan has mentioned
Yep.
interest, and so has Mike.
Yep. Thank you, because I did send out a letter last spring, a newsletter actually, asking parents to be involved in a safety committee for our schools. But when all the grants came out, it came to be that we had to create a school safety team, and with the grant being this year and all the new requirements, I had to put focus on getting the school one up and running first. Once that's up and running, I will be asking community members and still have their names and contact information, and that's when they'll be brought into the loop. But all of these legal requirements kind of came out fast and quick, so I had to get those taken care of, but they will be informed later this spring of a date that we will be getting together.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for the
Okay.
reminder.
Yeah.
Call for a motion to approve the review of school safety assessments.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Call for a motion to approve the review of emergency action drills.
So moved.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
The last one's me as well.
You want to just do a brief?
Yep.
Yeah.
So what that is, the MOU is just the understanding, our reunification sites in case of any emergency are Bethlehem Lutheran Church and the Nakusa Community Center. So I am in the process of working with Mr. Rashevsky and then Mr. Schmidt over at the Nakusa Community Center, outlining just in the case that that would happen, what are the roles and responsibilities of the school and of the reunification site. So there's that understanding of who does what in a situation, what is covered, what do we pay for the use of their space, what are they responsible for. So it just outlines it well, so that way if and when it happens, I hope not to ever have to use it. But that way that everyone just is on the same page of what's gonna happen.
Thank you.
Thank you for your body of work on this, Brian.
No problem.
Fantastic. Josh and the others as well.
Yes.
On to policy governance. Prior to jumping into R2, I'd just like to make a little statement on the board workshop that occurred last week, and just the board workshop in general. I would like to, well, prior to each regularly scheduled board meeting, which is the third Tuesday of each month, we have a board workshop on the Thursday preceding, which is the second Thursday of the month. The board workshop is a different format than this regular monthly meeting. It is an opportunity for the board to gather and listen to relevant presentations, and most often discussions in which we seek to ensure that we are representing our stakeholders. This is a publicly posted meeting and the public is welcome. It should be noted that unlike this meeting, there are no formal decisions or policy making that takes place. That information that takes place in this forum tonight. I am pleased to say that we did have some members of the public present last week, and it allowed for the type of stakeholder feedback and participation that we as a district and board desire. I would also like to thank the building teams that presented last Thursday. It was a very powerful group. Each building, Humpkey Elementary, AMS, and the high school brought their teacher teams that spoke on the process or the results policy of academic performance. Some very powerful people, powerful presentations, and I want to thank them for the time that they took to be there that night and also for their ongoing work. As we move forward, I am hopeful that we have continued increasing public attendance at this board workshop. The items that will be up for discussion each month are outlined in the policy governance monthly calendar. There are some months where the material is relatively straightforward. However, I would encourage anyone that is interested to review the calendar and identify those months in which they would like to attend the boardwalk workshop to hear about the subject items for that month. That public participation was so important to me as a board member, and I think the public learned a great deal about it, and even to have a public member come tonight and reflect upon what they learned is a very powerful statement. So with that being said, I'll move into academic performance. I summarize the results policy we're looking at this month is academic performance, ELA and math, and R2. You want to summarize R2, please, Terry?
I'd be happy to. So the results policy R2 academic performance is measured in a number of different ways. Our district report card, our building report cards are two tools used in determining our performance and ensuring that our students will graduate career and college or college ready, having successfully completed career or technical programs and or graduating with an ACT score at or above the state average. The district report card for the 17-18 is attached in the minutes, indicates that our academic testing results put the district at exceeds expectations. This was an improvement over the previous year of meets expectations.
You missed it. I was gonna have you read what it says in the results policy. This is a summary of our discussion.
Oh, you want me to read the?
No, you're already into the summary, so I'll go
Keep
ahead.
going.
Okay.
This is a, gentlemen, this is a summary of the discussion we had.
On
And
Thursday.
if there's anything you would like to add to it, Cody, Pat, that I may have missed,
Okay.
and Doug, go
You,
ahead.
so do you want?
You're rocking it,
Okay.
dude.
Keep going.
All right, this is to be recognized as a significant achievement and an indicator of the great deal of work and effort that has been put forth by not only our teaching and support staff, but the students and families as well. One item not indicated in the report card is that our students who took the ACT had the highest score within our conference. We also achieved significant progress in closing the achievement gap and rank within the top 5% of schools in the state in this category. While the district as a whole fit into the category of exceeds expectation as well as CWSA, the elementary, middle school, and high school individually fell within the category of meets expectations. To address this matter in our approach to academic performance, there are building teams that are addressing ELA, English Language Arts, and math. These building teams participated in the board workshop held on Thursday, December 13th. These teams presented the ongoing work and plans to address our shortcomings. An additional literacy coach began working with the district, and they, in concert with the building teams, have been working to improve our performance in ELA. The evidence presented supported the finding that appropriate measures are in place to improve our test scores in these areas. The downward trend needs to start turning up. We use several tools to monitor our progress throughout the school year, and efforts have been taken to assure that those tools are accurate predictors of performance on the state exams. The significant changes made in the way that we have designed our approach to curriculum has made significant progress in closing the gap in achievement. However, the work in the other areas is necessary to assure that we can bring ELA and math scores up. The attached Nakusa High School College and Career Readiness Report Card provides additional data supporting our performance to results policy R2, academic performance. At this time, the class of 2018 has an attendance rate of 99.4%, a composite ACT score of 20.03. Nearly 60% are involved in co-curricular activities, and it is also interesting that it is interesting that the no correlation between co-curricular activities and GPA for those involved with 0 co-curriculars, the grade point is 2.51. For those that are involved in 4 or 5 co-curriculars, the grade point is at 3.4. Big difference. The amount of AP and dual credit courses is significant. At this time, the class of 2018 enrolled in 119 credits that could be transferred to college. This is equivalent to $15,731.80 in college tuition.
That was a summary of the presentation of the teaching teams and just a brief synopsis. There was a great deal of more information, John, to your team in the different, ways in which you are doing that. And I asked Terry, and I think what we have attached to this document for support are the individual building report cards, but then I'd also like to include the reports that were prepared by the presentations that were made by the teams.
And John shared with you, I think we
Yeah,
collected
you
that.
got it linked up,
Yeah.
and we do have areas to improve, but we also need to celebrate, that we've gotten a long ways and overcoming some significant obstacles. And again, when it was just, I felt very proud of our teachers as I sat there and listened to them kind of brag a little bit about the job they're doing. And, the public that was there certainly felt that energy. And it changed the way people thought.
About certain things.
Yes.
Yes, about the CPM math especially.
Mm-hmm.
I think they came away with a whole different perspective as to how that's supposed to work.
Yeah. And it's really indicative that our staff, we have very powerful people on our staff that can be these lead learners, these team leaders, and that, you know, I think it, in essence, what we did is we find ourselves to be in compliance with results policy R2, and the information that Terry read is the summary that substantiates that finding. Did I miss anything? I know one thing I missed. Terry, we're gonna get this thing in the forecast 5. Do we wanna?
Oh, yes. So last year, if you recall, for R2, we had done a summary of how we did through Forecast 5 and comparing the report cards of other districts. So that information has not been uploaded to Forecast 5. So as soon as we get that information, I will make sure that gets passed on through an update.
And I think we'd like to possibly make a strong recommendation that this be moved to the January calendar. And maybe we'll have to look at the January calendar and see what we can maybe bring back to December, you know, December, yeah.
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 So that we don't have too much pushed ahead.
Yeah,
We wanna
because
have-
that Forecast 5 really lends itself well to this. So we'll do that. We're doing this tonight. I've been in touch with Forecast 5, and they're uploading it right now. So if we had that information, it would be very helpful. So, and there's no sense of us recreating that information when it's at our fingertips with Forecast 5. So we're looking at that. Thanks for bringing that up, Brian.
Yep. And, you know, I think the way that our team members and individual grade levels are working with their children in looking to evaluate grade proficiency, that's the word I'm looking to use,
Mm-hmm.
is improving, and we want to bring people to grade equivalent
Yeah.
status. And that within the model that we have right now, it lends itself to that. And the teacher teams, we had a teacher that came to our district that spoke on being introduced to this and just was really excited about teaching in this format. So we have work to be done. We always will. But a big thank you to administration for addressing some of the concerns that were raised. I do have one question, and Brian Mahan could not be here tonight, but he wanted me to ask this question, and it's something that maybe we can answer it today. But his question was, how do we feel that classroom behaviors may have impacted our scores? Specifically, if there's an individual in the class that's taking a great deal of time from the teacher, are the other kids suffering because of that? And how are we addressing those issues?
That's a great question. Brian, you want to, and probably what he's referring to are kids perhaps that have been identified.
Well, I
Especially-
think it's behaviors that may have happened, and if we have to clear a classroom out, or, you know, if that individual's having a bad day and the teacher might have to spend more time with that student, and, you know, it was a concern.
Yeah, and it's been something we've been talking about, so it's a very appropriate. Do you want to?
Yeah. So there's a few things I'd like to, you know, whether a student has a disability or not, every student is a general education student first, you know, so we have to make sure our universal supports are there to help them. So I know last year and this year you've heard me talk, and we actually had our first day of training this past end of November. We had our first day of training around multi-tiered system of supports. So we're saying, what supports do we have within our school? So when a student's having a difficult day, or we're noticing a pattern that they're always having a difficult time in math or things like that, how do we create a plan or put things in place to either teach them the skills or help them be successful in that situation? So that's one thing that we are developing further. And we actually just had a meeting, John, Terry, and myself this evening to say how are we moving this forward. And I'm working with both the middle school and the elementary school. So that way, you know, if it's a student who's not identified or even a student who is identified, they're a general education student first. But you're right, it can't just keep going on and going on. So part of the discussion is, well, what are we going to do to help that kid? And at what point do we, you know, if we need to remove them from the classroom, do we do that? So we're not letting it go on and disrupt the class for a longer period of time. And one of the ways to do that too, as you see tonight, I have this book. I don't know if any of you have read it. It's called Lost in School by Dr. Ross Green. And this is where we're, as part of our MTSS2, our multi-tiered system, we want to talk about what skills a student needs to build in order to be successful, rather than, you know, and for lack of a better term, instead of making excuses. Well, that kid has mental health issues, that kid has this. Well, no, they have a lagging skill that we need to teach them in order to be in class. So there's a process to identify those skills and then teach those skills. And this is something that's accessible to all students. But I'll say for students who are identified as a student with a disability, if they're identified with due to behaviors that are impeding the learning of themselves or others, they have what's called a behavior intervention plan. And it clearly defines in that plan, when you see X, Y, or Z behaviors, this is a point where either we need to redirect in class, and these are the ones that we need to remove a student from class. So there is a plan for teachers to follow.
Would that be a faster than multi-tiered approach, or separate?
That's separate.
Okay.
Because the students with with disability, it's something above and beyond what we might see of students without disabilities. So we would say, here's a specific plan just for them. And when that is in place, principals, school counselors, classroom teachers, and the special education teacher all have copies of that. So that way they're all implementing it the same way and are on the same page of when a student should be removed. But I agree you don't want to, but that's why we're taking these steps to have plans.
We'd rather have them in the classroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I understand where the question's coming from, and I exactly agree. We want them in class, but we need to teach them the skills. So, you know, because simply saying, hey, we're going to keep pulling and pulling when we see this behavior, well, why is the behavior occurring? What skill are they missing? What do we need to teach them so they can be? Because our ultimate goal is for, you know, as they move through the school system, to spend more and more time in the classroom. So,
Very well said. And were you accurately able to capture that information? Yes. I'm going to take that as an affirmative.
Well, we'll send Brian the video.
there we go.
We'll fix him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or I can have a conversation.
We can't,
with
he's
them,
been,
so-
Brian's video, I respect the duty that he's doing with public safety
Yes.
right now. He
Yeah.
wears two hats serving the public, and
Yes.
at the moment.
Thank you, Brian, though.
Yeah, thank you for, that's I appreciate that, and I think it's important for our stakeholders to know and understand how that works.
Yeah.
And we need to, I was just sharing with Brian and John that we need to continue to have conversations through different media, sharing that with our public.
Maybe that could be part of our, would that fit in with the agenda item for next month, possibly? We'll think about it.
Yeah.
Okay, I wanna make sure I captured it. Cody and Pat, thank you for your participation at last week's meeting as well. It was probably the most interactive session we've ever had,
I thought it was very positive.
okay?
Very positive. I thought a lot of good things came out. I know I learned a lot about how the ELA works, the CPM works, all of that. And I agree with Mike, what Mike said about, boy, if we could do that with the general public,
Mm-hmm.
you know, just say, hey, this is a parent awareness night. You wanna know what's going on? Show up. You know, but yeah, it was a good meeting.
And I think we should look at the calendar that we have for policy governance and really identify those that might have a big impact on the public that, you know, we hear from our stakeholders that there might be little rumblings.
Yep.
And then try to key on those and try to, you know, maybe use the newsletter to encourage that participation. We want to get comfortable with this board workshop model with that Thursday discussion. We have to respect open meeting laws, but you know, if it's an opportunity to educate our public, I'm willing to take chances to get our public stakeholders. I want to make sure I captured the big things.
Yeah.
Just an observation, you had other obligations making your wife happy, but what are your thoughts surrounding the summary here? Are we,
Well, from what I've heard, it sounded like it was a really good workshop. And there was a lot of information shared, and that was good. And you heard from Mike tonight, you know, he obviously he thought it was really worthwhile.
Right.
And I do agree, his suggestion about having maybe a quarterly meeting where we bring the parents in, I think could only be positive for the district. So I think that's an excellent idea.
well, thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you very much. And again, thanks to those teachers and administrators who did all the work to make Class Thursday happen. We're gonna make this easy now. Board President calls for a motion to approve R2 academic performance, ELA and math as presented and verified by the board.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We have the consent agenda. Cody, would you mind doing the donations again?
Yep, sure. So we have Roger Wilcox family donated $50 to the EMS Student Council. Chad Dorhorse and the NHS Tech Ed Department donated a bag of new hats, mittens, and lip balm to AMS. $500 donation from Condon Oil ExxonMobil Educational Alliance Program. They were nominated by Nakusa Mobile Station. And the Nakusa High School Science Department will utilize those funds. And then for Backpack for Kids, there was a anonymous $250 donation. So thank you for those donations.
Yeah, that's an honor to get that kind of oil. That's
Mhm.
pretty neat.
Brian,
Yeah.
you missed Beth's resignation.
Actually, with consent agenda, this is something that we don't necessarily would
Okay.
cover unless
But-
one of the administrators wants to bring it up.
Well, I certainly would like to thank Beth
Yeah.
for her, I think,
Yeah.
Diana, has she been here 11 years? 10?
I don't know.
It's been longer than I've been here, so
Longer than I've been here too.
so she's been here, she's served the district very well.
She retiring.
Yeah, she's retiring. Her husband retired a couple months ago, and I think she saw how much
She
fun
was
he was
jealous.
having. Yeah.
I'm retired too.
I'm gonna miss the puppy dog.
Yes.
Beth, thank you very much for your time and what you've given to our district. And we hope that you enjoy this next chapter in your life. Thank you, Beth. Anything else in the consent agenda that you guys would like to speak of?
No.
In the absent, okay. Board President calls for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Future meeting / agenda items. Board workshop, January 10th, 2019 is up. Do we have a doodle out on that right now? Or-
Yes.
Yes. Currently, there's a doodle, an email that went out asking about dates. I just did mine today. I think
It's
it-
7th to 29th, right? January 7th or January 29th? So we're going to have an extra meeting in January.
On
It's
Monday or-
working on the 29th for most everyone.
Good.
I'll be good.
All right.
I know I haven't responded, but I'm good.
Okay.
I'll respond to it once I get my stuff. organized.
I had to figure out how to sign in the doodle. I did it.
What are you waiting on?
I'm having some computer issues.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on. I'll get it figured out. So
Yeah.
give me a couple minutes.
And then, Glenn's gonna talk about the financial audit. Mr. Brian Grove will be discussing open enrollment space availability now. Crisis action plan, that one we've taken care of. The approval of the CWSA contract. The topic for next month's board workshop will be covering BSR 5E, Board / District Administrative Relations, and then O11, Instructional Program, and G9, Board Members Covenant. So the OE11 is a pretty big one. So I'm looking forward to that. I think we've had some really good information in previous years. So that's what we're looking forward to. And before we call the meeting to adjourn, I would just like to thank everybody for all the hard work this year, and just wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And
Yeah.
we'll see you all next year.
Next year.
We'll see you all next
Man.
year. So at this time, motion on the floor to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Meeting adjourned. Thank you. Merry Christmas.